Welcome, everybody, to the Friar Talk podcast. Today, we are kind of doing a special episode for us. We're starting our top 30 prospects list, and today we're just going to be going over 21 to 30. And then over the next, probably by the end of the weekend, we'll have a 11 through 20 and then a top 10 list out. But I'll go through the list right now. Also, I am going to be trying to edit some type of ranking list right now on the screen. So hopefully that'll be shown for you guys. But 21 through 30, this is how we have these guys ranked. Eguy Rosario, I'm sorry if I said that name wrong. It's a tough one. Pedro Avila at 22. Luis Gutierrez at 23. Efrain Contreras at 24. Carlos Guarate at 25. Osvaldo Hernandez at 26. Samuel Zavala at 27. Charles Aquino at 28. Jacob Nix at 29. And Miguel Rondon at 30. So we're not going to make this video like 2 hours long and go over these guys all really in depth, but we're basically going to be highlighting some of the guys we like the most. So I'll go to you first, Chase. Chase, who are a couple of these guys that really stand out to you?
Starting off at number 30, Miguel Rendon. I know he's number 30 on the list, but he's really young. He has an advanced feel for pitching, has low 90s fastball, has the chance at getting advanced command with his pitches. So I think if he develops his fastball a little bit more, he's going to shoot up on that prospect list and maybe become like a mid-rotation piece for us in the probably 3-4 years.
Okay, yeah, I don't know a ton about him, but I'll just go with the 29 right now, Jacob Nix. We've actually seen Jacob Nix. There's only two guys on this list that we've seen pitch an MLB game. Nix did all right 2019. He pitched a few games. If you remember, he started off the year kind of hot, 5.4 ERA. He's 25 years old right now, 6'4", 220 pounds. He was a former third rounder. I think it was 4 or 5 years ago he was picked in the third round. So we've seen him a couple times, but he's a guy definitely to monitor. And I know that he's kind of like fighting for a spot this year. So interesting how that'll play out. I don't know if he's going to necessarily win it. You know, there's some guys in the Padres organization that definitely have better arsenal than he does. I'm not trying to knock Jacob Nix. I think he's a solid guy, but I do think he projects as a trade piece in the future. But Isaac, either one of these guys or a different guy that you wanted to bring up just to start?
Number 22, Pedro Avila. I feel like we all know about him. If you were watching back in, I think it was 2019, Fernando's rookie year. If you were watching then, you probably saw a series in Arizona where you saw him pitch a game. And I want to say he went 4 or 5 innings, but there were a good solid 4 or 5 innings. And I don't project him to be a starter because our rotation is much deeper than it was in 2019. But I think he can be a great reliever. I think he could be what I was thinking a better version of Stammen, which isn't hard. Um, we're hoping that he can help out and be the righty that we need in the bullpen. That's not like Pagan or Johnson. More righties in the bullpen helps. But I think Avila is someone exciting.
Yeah, and Avila in that game, he started the game. It was in 2019 as well. So he was the other guy that we saw besides Jacob Nix in 2019. And he went 5 and a third, 1 earned run, and let's see, 5 Ks. So looked pretty good. I mean, I remember him pitching. I think that maybe he could make the roster this year. Chase, any thoughts on that potentially happening?
Yeah, if they do that 6-man rotation at the beginning of the year, they could probably opt for like a Pedro Avila if in case anything happens or if they don't think Gore's ready yet. Because he started in the MLB, he has some experience. He did pretty well. They think he's ready. He might win that 6th spot. If not, it might be your Gore, your Weathers, or Morejon possibly.
Yeah, no, and Avila, you look at just his overall, just how he's been and his prospect grades. I'll just go over him because I think this is a very interesting player. His ETA is 2021, so this could definitely be the year where we do see him, and maybe it ends up starting off the year in the MLB and earns a like larger role in the bullpen. And Isaac, you brought up Craig Stam, and I think that we could definitely see then maybe move on from him and then have Avila take that role. That's something I would like to see. I think we've seen enough of Stammen. But his grades, he has a 50 grade fastball. He has a 55 grade changeup, 55 grade curveball, and a 45 grade of control. So I think he can be a guy that we have in the bullpen for the next couple years, but definitely an enticing piece. I'm going to move on from him, though. Efrain Contreras is a guy that I'm very interested in. In 2019, he pitched 109 innings. He struck out 121 batters, and he posted a 3.61 ERA, a 1.18 WHIP, and he did really good. And that was at Fort Wayne. So I think that he's going to get a lot better. He'll probably end up being a trade piece as well. I think a lot of these guys will. I don't really know if Avila necessarily will because the Padres are trying to bolster up that bullpen. But I do think Contreras is a guy that they could potentially move, and he could be almost like a premium prospect in the package just because he looks like he could potentially be a back-end starter. And he's put up pretty good numbers at a higher level in the farm system. So I like him. He was signed out of Mexico. He's 21 years old right now, 5'10", 210 pounds. I like him a little. I like him. I think that he is a trade piece. Isaac, is that another guy you think could potentially be moved maybe for a bigger guy later this year?
Yeah, like you said, I think a lot of these guys could be trade pieces because I mean we consistently have a good farm system, and there's systems out there like the Brewers or bottom end teams that are going to need prospects like this. But what I see, tossed 109 innings, struck out 121 batters. But if he's going to provide any value to us, it'll be as a bullpen arm as well, just like Avila. But I honestly just see him as a trade piece.
And Chase, what are your thoughts on him?
Practically the same thing. We have enough right-handed pitchers in the system. We have a lot of pitchers that are capable of being better than him, have a higher ceiling. So I think he's just trade bait. But you know what? He'd be a really solid prospect in any other system.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Chase, any other guys that you wanted to bring up here?
Yeah, I wanted to bring up Luis Gutierrez. I'm at 23. He's 17 years old. He signed out of Venezuela for $75,000. He kind of reminds me of Patino a little bit because, he's 6 foot, 175 pounds. Kind of Patino was like that. And then he grew up and put on a bunch of muscle and started throwing, 95 to 100. Gutierrez right now only throws between 87 and 90, but that's kind of typical for your 16, 17-year-old. So I'm hoping he bumps that up in the future. He has a loopy 12-6 curveball, which is his swing and miss pitch. He's starting to show a changeup with natural downward actions. If he develops some velocity and control over, man, he could be a really filthy pitcher in the future.
Yeah, I see right now, just looking at his grading scale, 50 fastball, 55 curveball. That 12-6 seems to be kind of his go-to pitch. And then he also has a changeup that could potentially turn into a solid third pitch. So maybe if we see him develop that, I guess kind of a little bit opposite of Chris Paddock. You had a guy with solid fastball. I think that's similar to Paddock, but he has the stronger changeup or the stronger curveball. Sorry, needs to work on that changeup. So a little bit of a reverse situation there, but also 17 years old, a lot of room to grow. This is another guy that's tough to project, where we could look down the road and say, "Oh wow, you had Gutierrez at 23, like that's way too low. He's a top 10 guy now." And I mean that's what we want to see too. But definitely another exciting young arm. I feel like he's a guy that probably won't get moved soon unless a team is just in love with him and they're willing to part with something, something that like pushes us over the top. Maybe that's a bullpen arm. Maybe that's an extra bat off the bench or something. But I think Gutierrez will probably be in the system for a while just because he has a lot of room to grow and he has a lot of value to bring to this organization. But I do like him. Another guy that I wanted to bring up, Rosario. I butchered his name. I'm not going to try the first name again. He's 5'9", 150 pounds. He's very small, but he hit 278, or his slash line was 278, 331, 412 with 40 base hits in 2019 at Lake Elsinore. I'm sorry. That was over the last 2 years at Lake Elsinore. But he's definitely getting a little – he's not that old. He's 21 now. He was signed at 16 years old out of the Dominican Republic. But we've heard Rosario around in the farm. Isaac, any thoughts on him as a player?
I mean, seeing how he's been with us for so long, it doesn't seem like he's going to be anything crazy to our organization. It seems like he's destined to stay in the minors, but he could also be a really good piece in another farm system, like we were talking about. I
Efrain
believe.
Contreras.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, like we were talking about him. He's still only 21, so he's still got room to grow. But I really don't see him as anything special to the Padres other than being good in the minors.
Especially because he got signed at 16. He's 21 now, and he's definitely an exciting piece, but it's gonna be hard for him to kind of like move his way to be a top end prospect. I feel like another guy. I think that he's probably a trade piece.
Right.
But Isaac, was there another guy that you wanted to bring up on this list? I know there's probably a couple other guys that we should, but anything off you right now?
No, maybe not on this list. I think just one guy that's maybe not on the list is Jordy Barley, but I don't want to talk too much about him. He struggled kind of a lot last year. He only batted, or not last year, but when they were able to play in the minors, he only batted 235, 293 on base percentage, 398 slugging percentage. But he runs a 6'4", 60. He's pretty big. He has good tools, so I think he could be a real solid trade piece if there's a team out there that's interested in his raw potential that looks into his size and thinks that they can make something out of it.
Yeah, and we did have a another shortstop on our list, and that was Charles Aquino. I think that's how you say it. And he's only 19 years old. I think that's why we ended up putting him over Barley, just because he was a little bit younger, and he has some more room to develop. Uh, Aquino is a 6'2", 165-pound shortstop, 19 years old. He's a righty. His tools grade out: 45 hit, 45 power, 50 run, 55 arm, 55 field. So a little bit more of a fielder. He needs to develop the bat, but if he does that, I think that he could be really special. And right now we have him at 28. Um, Another guy. This is probably the last guy I really want to bring up that I'm interested in, but is Valdo Hernandez. And I know Chase, you liked him a little bit, so I'll let you kind of get into Tez Valdo real quick.
So he's a lefty. He is projected to be in the majors this year, but that's kind of a logjam with all the talent that we acquired this offseason. He had a 1.81 ERA and 14 in 2018, and then he built upon that performance in 2019. He has a low 90s fastball, pretty good curveball, and then slider and a changeup, though pretty sure he's probably going to drop one of those two pitches. Normally, when you have an average third and fourth pitcher, you're usually going to pick one and refine it more. So kind of looking forward to what he has. I just like lefties a little bit more than righties. It gives you more options in the major leagues.
So that's it for the guys on the list from me. I have one more kind of honorable mention guy to wrap it up with, but any other guys that you think that we should address on this list? And we didn't get to everyone, but we didn't want to be here for a super long time. It's more about getting the list out, getting the conversation out there, and really getting people excited about some of these guys that really haven't been heard of yet. But Isaac or Chase, anyone else that you guys want to bring up before I talk about this final player?
Yeah, just one guy, and it's going to be real quick. Samuel Zavala at 27. He was an international prospect that we just signed. He's a left-handed prospect, and he's been compared to Carlos Gonzalez. So, just kind of looking forward to see what he does in the future.
Yeah, I like him a lot too. And we kind of added him late when we started looking at the international prospect list. But the final guy I have also from the international prospect list, everything we thought that he was signed with the organization, but everything kind of says that he hasn't yet, but he's going to. Was it this fall, Chase?
It said next international signing period, so I don't know if that's going to be this fall or next spring.
Okay, yeah. So it looks like he's eventually going to be with the organization. This guy is Jarlin Susana. He's 17 years old. He's been recorded at throwing a 97 mile per hour fastball, 6'4", and he was ranked, I think it was 34 out of the top 50 guys in Baseball America's international pool. So definitely a name to take note of. Hopefully he's signed next year. Hopefully it does end up becoming a part of this organization. But that's probably going to wrap it up for this episode. Either tomorrow or the next day, we're going to have the prospect list out for 11 through 20. And then another day or two after that, we will have the top 10 out. So make sure to stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe so you guys can get that. But we just wanted to get some of these like kind of low key guys out there and just kind of bring up them because I feel like the Padres farm system is not in flux, but no one really knows who some of these younger guys are because we saw so many of the middle and low tier prospects get shipped off, which is good because we got some nice players with that. But I like doing this episode. I've actually learned. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. I've learned a lot about some of these guys just because I only knew a couple of these guys going into the episode, and we did some research, so it was cool to check them out. And it was also tough because MLB hasn't dropped MLB.com hasn't dropped their top 30 for all the teams yet, so a little bit difficult there. But also, if we left anyone out, and you are like, hey, you totally left this guy out, please comment. Let us know. And then like, subscribe, do all that stuff. If you're listening on podcast, check out our YouTube channel. If you're listening on YouTube, check out our podcast. It kind of goes hand in hand, but we do post some different stuff once in a while. So make sure to check that out. Be subscribed to both platforms, all that. So thanks everyone for listening, and we will be out with 11 through 20 either tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Thanks.